Hi, I'm Pam, and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of June. Hey everyone, I hope you are all having a very good start to your summer. It's been beautiful here for the last little while. In terms of updates, there's not a whole lot. As usual, there's been a new episode of Point and Drink Adventure with Michelle and I. Last episode, we talked about a ton of movies, a bunch that we watched together, all the games Michelle's been playing, and the games I've been playing, which you might have heard about on my last update video. Also, Michelle finally got to go over all her pickups that she hasn't been able to go over lately. So yeah, that was fun. You should go check that out on the Point and Drink Adventure channel if you haven't already. Another thing, just a little Lily update. She's been doing a little bit better. She's got some definite problems with her back legs and some old injuries that are flaring up, but she's on some medication that's really helping. She's seeing a pet rehab therapist that comes every week and sort of works out with her, and she actually really likes that. She has a fun time. Also, she likes any attention at all. I got her a little wagon. I've finally gotten her into the wagon, so I've been able to like pull her around the neighborhood when she can't go for too far of a walk herself, but she slowed down. I don't think she's gonna get back up to where she was when she was younger, but she seems very happy now. So as long as she's happy and not hurting, that's good for me. So surprisingly, I actually do have a pickup from June. This is something that I ordered a long time ago. I think it was supposed to come out, I don't know, March or something, but it kept getting delayed and delayed. This is the Citizen Sleeper vinyl. It is by Stumpy Frog Records, who I've ordered a couple things from. Actually, maybe just one. They did the Cat Lady vinyl. This soundtrack is by Amos Roddy, and I love Citizen Sleeper. It was my game of the year back in 2022, I think. The soundtrack is just really nice, sort of electronic, fairly chill, something good to have on in the background and to work through. It's got a nice gatefold here. Oh, what's the rest of it? Sorry, it came with more stuff. Beautiful art from the game on it. It also uses the dice motif from the game because you're rolling dice a lot. So like we've got 1 and 2, so you can tell what side and what album you're on, which is really cool. It came with some other stuff, which I forgot to bring. 1 second. Yeah, it was a special edition, so it also came with this little cloth bag that's branded from the corporation in the... Lily, please don't shake the table. In the game, and then it's got a nice art book here, just with sketches of all of the characters and things. There's also a sticker sheet in here with... There goes the table. Lily, you need to sit right under the table. Yeah, sticker sheet. But yeah, happy to have that. I have listened to it all the way through already, and it's a great soundtrack. That means I think I only have one thing on pre-order now that I'm still waiting for. Okay, Lily. No. So last month I didn't have a ton of games that I finished or even played because I was on vacation for 2 weeks and had other stuff going on. But this time I have made up for it because I have a shit ton of games that I finished and a couple games that I gave up on. The first one I played is called Bokura, and this is an online 2-player game. It's on Steam. That's where I played it. It might be on other storefronts as well. I'm not sure. But this is one of those sort of asynchronous co-op games. So you play with a friend and you both see different things. So at the start of this one, you see a guy on a train and he's kind of looking back at a time in his life. And then you go and it's 2 friends on an adventure together. But at some point something happens and they start seeing very different things. So like in my world, my character was a duck, and then Dylan's character was a bear, and everything was, a bit in the fantasy realm. Whereas his game, everything was kind of robotic and futuristic, and both of our characters were robots. So since the environments are different, you had to communicate and do these little puzzle platformer sections in order to get both of you through. It was pretty good. I liked the puzzle platformer aspect. The puzzles were pretty curious and interesting. I found the story was a lot. Like, it was kind of over the top a little. There was a lot of murder in this children's story, and then a lot of just like looking back and being like, wow, I loved being a kid. That was the happiest I've ever been. And it was just kind of a downer in terms of story, honestly, and I didn't really think it needed to be. But in terms of the gameplay, I found it was quite a lot of fun. It's a pretty short one. I think it was about 3 hours to get through the whole thing. Another thing I played and finished was Little Kitty Big City. This is a new release. It just came out on Game Pass. Pretty sure it's out other places as well. And you play a little kitty who has fallen from her home way up in an apartment tower and is now on the streets, and she needs to find her way back home. And as you do that, you meet other little animals who talk to you. There's a bunch of things to collect. You can, knock over birds' nests and collect shinies and open up fast travel points, get fish, which allows you to climb higher than you could and increases your stamina. And overall, this was just really cute. You just play a nice little kitty, doing kitty things, playing with things, finding little spots to nap. It is a rather sandboxy game, so while the goal is just to get back to your apartment, there's all sorts of side things and collectibles to do. And I didn't do a ton of that. I would sort of sample each kind of thing there was to do a little bit, and then just continue on with my quest of making it back home. But overall, it was really adorable. The writing was amusing, especially talking to some of the other cats, and seeing what they had to say was pretty funny. But yeah, if you're looking for a kind of just chill, cute game, then Little Kitty Big City was very charming. I think it took me, maybe around 5 hours to beat. You could definitely extend that a bit if you want to do more of the collection aspects. Another brand new game that I played through was Senua's Saga? I think Saga. Hellblade 2. This is the follow-up to Ninja Theory's game that came out a few years ago. I generally enjoyed the first game. I thought it was an interesting take on things. As an audio-visual experience, it was really impressive. This one, I thought it was so boring. It was a 5-hour game, and I swear it was the longest 5-hour game I've ever played. I kept thinking, surely it must be over. No, it wasn't. It didn't end until far later than it seemed to, which seems like a weird thing to say for a 5-hour game. But yeah, in this one, you're playing Senua again. She still has voices in her head, but she hasn't really come to peace with them. But, the danger seems less pressing than it did in the first game. I don't know what it was. It did most of the same things that the first game did. It just did it a little worse and a little more boring. Like the first game, you play it with headphones and you hear the voices whispering in your ear, and it was pretty cool and pretty creepy. Yeah, so the voices in your head this time, they're just kind of annoying. It's just this constant chatter that isn't really saying anything interesting. That's either saying yeah, go do it, Senua, or no, Senua, you can't do this. But it's just constant, and then your dad's voice is in your head constantly telling you that you suck. And the biggest problem was that it was almost too hard to tell when you could actually control the game and when you couldn't. This is very much more on the walking simulator side, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm going to talk about another one of those kind of later. But, you couldn't tell, partially because there's basically no interface, but you couldn't tell as you're walking or you're climbing a hill or you're doing something, am I actually controlling her here, or has the game just taken control away from me? Even in combat, which I did not like nearly as much as the first game. I found it very tedious and kind of spammy. You're fighting, and then whoops, someone just grabs you by the hair and throws you on the ground, and you're not really controlling anything. and then they set up again, and then you press like 3 buttons, and then you go off to another cutscene. It's just constantly interrupting the gameplay with just these cutscenes, and that was very annoying. The puzzles all just seemed on the tedious side in terms of what you were doing, and yeah, it just was really disappointing, I thought. And another thing is that visually, like, all the motion capture and everything, like, they're doing the best motion capture out here, I think, but for what? And the environments, like, the first game had some really striking environments. It had some really cool set pieces that were tense and they got kind of scary. And here, like, yes, all the environments are rendered well, but it's just like rocks and darkness for 90% of the game. So it's like, wow, those are some pretty rocks and barren fields. Wow, like, it's the graphics are nice, but they're not nice things on screen. So there was a couple things I liked. Like, there's some half cutscenes with giants that were kind of cool. There's this one underground cave segment that got a little bit tense and reminded me a bit of the first game. But overall, it was just a very, very dull game, sadly. So the next game I finished is another brand new game called Still Wakes the Deep. This is the latest from, I think the Chinese room made this. It came out on Xbox Game Pass, and this is a game which is like sort of a stealth horror / walking simmy game. I found it more intriguing in terms of gameplay than Hellblade 2. So in this, you are out on an oil drilling platform off the coast of Scotland. Everything in this game is very, very Scottish. All of the dialogue, all of the turns of phrase. If you put on subtitles, the subtitles don't even exactly match the language. They turn the subtitles into like more English versions of Scottish slang and things like that. But you're playing a character who's gone out to work on this rig, kind of as a way to escape the law because he has assaulted someone. And as the rig is drilling, it finds something that it's not sure about it, but it just drills through it anyway. And then chaos ensues. I was definitely reminded of Color Out of Space when I played this. Other people have mentioned The Thing, which kind of, except when I think about The Thing, the important part is the paranoia of not knowing if your friend has been taken over by the Thing. Whereas in this, it was very obviously if your friend has been taken over by whatever it is. So you have to go through this oil rig and you're trying to escape. Things keep going wrong. It starts sinking. The generators go off. And all the while, this monster, this like spreading monstrosity is going through the station. So you're walking around, you're trying to fix things, you're occasional doing a little bit of, not really platforming, because it's kind of just QTEs for if you're going to fall off a ladder or something. But, you know, occasionally you have to make a jump or do a hand over hand thing on a ladder. You have to sometimes be a little stealthy so as not to get caught by the monster, but you never have to be too stealthy. There is also a mode in this which puts it more in a story mode, which makes it less likely that you will be caught by the monster. I turned this on immediately because I don't find that dying in these kinds of games adds anything. I still did get caught once or twice while I was being just completely foolhardy and not careful at all. So you can still die, but it is nice if you're not super into that kind of hide from scary things gameplay. But overall, just the writing was really good. The story was great. The voice acting, just an extremely, extremely atmospheric game. So I did end up quite liking this one. It's another fairly short one, I think 3-ish hours long. And the story ended up being, you know, quite affecting. And overall, I liked it. If you enjoy this kind of game at all, then I do recommend Still Wakes the Deep. The last adventure game I finished over on Twitch on Sundays. I stream adventure games on Sunday on Twitch. If you don't already know, you can follow me. Twitch.tv/cannot be tamed. I played Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This is a game by LucasArts. It might have been called Lucasfilm at that point. I believe it's from 1989. And this is a game I played as a kid and quite enjoyed. I've always been a big fan of the original Indiana Jones trilogy of games. This is a game that brings the movie to life in an incredibly faithful way. There are so many scenes in the game that are just taken directly out of the movie. Obviously, there are some new and different kind of puzzles added, but the movie itself was kind of a puzzly thing, especially at the end of the movie, so it really made a good fit. Unfortunately, this was just before LucasArts put out The Secret of Monkey Island, and they came to the very correct conclusion that you should not let your player tie their own noose and let them fuck themselves over by missing something early in the game. So originally I played this on stream, went through the sewers of Venice and everything, the school at the beginning, got to the Nazi castle, and realized I hadn't picked up something and it was blocking my progress. And then I decided after stream I was going to start again and just get back to that point. Looked up a walkthrough and realized I had forgotten a number of things at the beginning of the game that I had just missed that would have screwed me over in multiple ways as I continued or tried to continue on the game. So I ended up playing through most of the game with a walkthrough because of that, because it's really bullshit to be able to miss something right at the beginning and have it just fuck your whole game save. So yeah, it's a fun game. Like, again, just so faithful to the movie. Tons of ridiculously annoying things, again, just about how obtuse things can be. But generally, the puzzles were pretty good, for the most part. And the sewers of Venice were even kind of a maze, but not enough of a maze to be annoying, like in so many other adventure games of that time. But it was a fun one to go back to. Definitely had some parts that I got frustrated with, again, just because that was what adventure game design was like at that time, but I was happy to revisit it. I actually played a lot of short games this month. Maybe that's why I managed to finish so many. I played a game called Night Reverie, which is one I've had in my Steam library for a couple years. I was just going through, trying to find something that I could sort of knock off the games to play list. So this is another sort of puzzly adventure type game. You start off and you're a little boy in his house. His sister has trouble sleeping. You help her get her favorite teddy bear, and then something happens and you find yourself again in something that looks like your house, except your sister's gone, your parents are gone, and there are just strange creatures like teddy bears, or your cat, but it's a giant, and you have to go through this house helping the others in the house, sort of learning lessons along the way. I thought that the puzzles in this game were pretty good. They were not too difficult to solve. It was kind of a cool, frictionless experience. It ended up being sort of, a sad story in the end, which you could probably tell just from the beginning of the game and where it was going. But overall, it was cute. I think this one was maybe 3 or 4 hours, but if you like sort of nice yet sad puzzly adventure games, then Night Reverie is a cute one to check out. So my favorite game that I played in June is The Last Faith, which I got so hooked on. The Last Faith is a Metroidvania. It came out at the end of the year last year. I just didn't get around to playing it before the end of the year. It definitely would have been on my top 10 of the year if I had. This is a game that visually seems to be borrowing a lot from Blasphemous. It's not Spanish Catholic, but it's more kind of, I don't know, English Catholic, not even Catholic, kind of like Gothic looking, and the UI is very similar. The icon for items to pick up is very similar. However, it plays fairly different. This game, even though Blasphemous gets called Souls-like all the time, which other than tone I think is ridiculous, but this game is a lot more Souls-like than Blasphemous. You can do different builds of your character. You get Nycrux instead of souls, which you use to level up your stats, as well as buy things, upgrade your weapons. There's a ton of different weapons to choose from in the game. I ended up going through the whole thing with a whip. Eventually I got a bow that I also liked, and I ended up going into a heavy magic build as well. Apparently, just from what I'm reading, strength is kind of the OP way to go here, and I did find sometimes my whip was kind of just chipping away at bosses very, very slowly, but I liked the whip and the range on it, so I stuck with it. It's just really fun, just incredibly engaging gameplay. The combat feels really good. The dodge is excellent and almost a little even overpowered, I think. It is one where you do have to be deliberate because attacks and magic cast do take like just a second longer than you want them to, so you need to really plan ahead in terms of your movement and your attacks on enemies. You need to learn the enemy patterns, which is a lot of fun. I had an awesome time exploring this entire world. I ended up getting my save file to 100% before I went and fought the final boss. I got the sort of normal ending and then opened it up to do like the real final boss and get the extra special ending. Yeah, I just did everything. I collected everything. I did everyone's quest. One thing I really like is that you have a manor, and as you find people out in the world, you send them back to your manor and they'll have little quests for you. Of course, there's nothing so simple as a quest log. You just have to kind of remember what people have said to you. But overall, I really liked The Last Faith. Yeah, super happy I played that. I think I put like 30 hours into it because, again, I completely uncovered the map and it was a ton of fun. So if you're looking for a good Metroidvania and you're not sick of Souls-likes, see, I am a little sick of Souls-likes, but this one just did a real good. So I was not sick of it and I got hooked within my first hour or two of gameplay. But yeah, Last Faith, definitely a high recommend from me. And lastly, there were just 2 games that I ended up retiring. One is Warhammer 40k Boltgun. This is one I just kind of picked up on a whim. It's sort of a Doom-like game, except in the Warhammer 40k universe. You just go to levels, you pick up health packs and armor, and you kill demons, and that's basically it. I thought this game was fine. I had fun with the time I played with it. I did, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 levels, and then I was like, you know what? I get it. I think I've seen all I need to see here. So it was fine. I just didn't feel like I needed to spend any more time with it. And lastly, a game I do not think is fine is Necropolis. And this is a roguelite dungeon crawler. It's by Harebrained Schemes, which really surprised me because I like a lot of what Harebrained Schemes has done, especially the new Shadowrun games, but this was not good. We played this on our co-op night. You all play basically the same character. It's mostly a melee kind of attack game, so you get swords and you got a shield, and occasionally you can get a kind of ranged weapon if you try, but you're just going through this dungeon and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper until you get to the bottom. You get coins when you defeat enemies, and you can buy upgrades and potions and things. As you go, there are little sort of tasks to do, like eat 8 things or craft 8 things to eat and use a potion, read a scroll. And that's all fine. The problems were many. The biggest, stupidest problem was that this is a 4-player co-op melee game and there's friendly fire. And your characters you can lock onto something, but you still have a pretty wide swing. So we never felt like we could ever fight the same enemy at the same time because we would just hit each other and kill each other. So that was just a horrible, horrible decision. Also, everything kind of looks the same. We were getting lost or being like, have we been here before? I think we've been here before. I don't know. Is this the same elevator we've taken? The sort of sub-level between levels always looks exactly the same, which makes it confusing. The run we did last took like 2.5 hours, and we weren't even halfway through the dungeon, which is like way too long for a run of a roguelike game to take. So yeah, it was just not good. It was not a good game. I would not recommend it, especially not for co-op. That friendly fire thing is just fucking mind-boggling to me. But yeah, Necropolis, don't recommend that one. Alright, so that is everything that I was up to in June. Leave me a comment, let me know what you've been playing, if you have any games you want to recommend to me, if you got any interesting pickups. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more, check out one of my other videos here. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.